was scared living in Atlanta. Good evening. With that, I will call the, what day is it? April 30th, 2026, Clay County Board of Adjustment meeting to order. And the first thing I want to do is introduce our new board member, George Goodrich. And thank you very much for serving. People at home that don't know, this is a volunteer board and we don't get paid and staff harasses us, but we love staff. So thank you, George.
Thank you.
Okay, the next item is the approval of our minutes from our last meeting, which was December 4th. Is that correct? 2025?
I will move approval.
I have a motion for approval of the minutes. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second for approval of those minutes. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Passes 4-0. The next item is we have an open public comment. You can comment on anything you want.
5-0, yeah.
Oh, yeah, we have passed 5-0. Yeah.
She
Yes,
was.
you're here. Thank you. That's that. We have a public comment time that anybody here can speak about anything they want to on the agenda or not on the agenda. Seeing nobody come forward, I will close that and bring it back to us and our public hearings. The first public hearing is for BOA BOA 26-0003. And with that, I'll turn it over to staff. Beth?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The applicant for this item is John Russell Williams for Grace Missionary Baptist Church. The address of the parcel is 4489 Springbank Road, Green Cove Springs. And the request is to defer the installation of a required perimeter buffer fence to a later date following certificate of occupancy. And the specific date was not provided. This is an aerial image of the property. You can see it's this was prior to it being constructed. It's actually been built to this date. It's a rural area along Springbank Road. The parcel is located on the east side of Springbank and surrounded by residentially zoned land. Article 6, which is the Tree Protection Landscape Standards in Section 6-8 requires a 20-foot Type B perimeter buffer where a project is adjacent to residential. The Type B buffer requires a 6-foot visual barrier, which can be either a wall, a fence, shrubs that are 6 foot high at planting, or a berm in combination with any of those items, along with evergreen tree planting and ground cover, which could be turf or other ground cover. Existing wooded areas, if they're 50 feet in width and have an opacity of 85% during all seasons, could substitute for that visual barrier. The applicant's plans indicate that there's a combination of ways that he's going to meet this. They're going to meet this requirement, including using existing woods and fencing with tree planting to meet the buffer requirements. And the variance request again is to defer the installation of the privacy fence that they're showing on part of the property to a later date, which was not provided. They currently have a certificate of a temporary certificate of occupancy, so they have been granted that in the meantime. This is their site plan you see on the northern boundary, and again, they're surrounded by residential on all three sides. The northern boundary, where you see the circles, a little hard to see. They were going to be planting trees and putting in a fence. On the eastern boundary, that wide area is actually a tree buffer, and they were going to supplement it with a few trees to meet the opacity. And then on the southern boundary, there again, we're planting and would be putting a fence in. So the conditions for the variance, first is that special conditions and circumstances exist which are peculiar to the land, structure, or building. There are no unique conditions of the land, structure, or building. The church is surrounded on three sides by residentially zoned parcels, which is not uncommon. That special conditions and circumstances do not result from the actions of the applicant. While budget and timing overruns may not have directly resulted from the applicant, they are not a unique circumstance to development and should not prevent the applicant from meeting the current codes. The other criteria is that granting the variance requested will not confer on the applicant any special privilege that is denied by this ordinance to other lands, buildings, or structures in the same zoning district. The granting of the variance would confer on the applicant a privilege denied to other properties adjacent to residential that are required to install perimeter buffer prior to occupying the structure. Next condition is that literal interpretation of the provisions of the ordinance would deprive the applicant of rights commonly enjoyed by other properties in the same zoning district. The literal interpretation of the ordinance would not deprive the applicant of rights commonly enjoyed by other property owners within the PS1 zoning district. Next condition, that the variance granted is the minimum variance that would make possible the beneficial use of the land, building, or structure. The requested variance does not provide a specified time for the installation of the required fence. And next one is that granting the variance will be in harmony with the general intent and purposes of these ordinances, and that such variance will not be injurious to the area involved or otherwise detrimental to the public welfare. The granting of the variance will not be in harmony with the general intent of the Land Development Code, which provides buffering between dissimilar land uses. Occupation of the church in absence of this required buffer may negatively impact the adjacent residentially zoned properties. So those are the conditions for the variance. Staff finds allowing the installation of the fence to be deferred until an unknown future date following the occupation of the site to be inconsistent with the Land Development Code. Staff recommends denial of the request to defer the installation of the perimeter buffer fence.
Beth, let me ask you, go back if you would to
Sure.
I understand on the east side, the right side, there's existing woods. On the north side and on the south side, there's quite a few trees they're looking to plant. And on the subsequent pages in our package, you see irrigation system and all that being put in to support those trees. Are they asking for just a variance on the fence only, or the fence and the trees?
The application was for just the fence.
Just the fence?
My understanding is
Just
just the fence, and I assume they'll
Yeah, okay.
speak.
And the fence requirement is 6 feet tall, 85% opaque.
Well, it'd be a privacy fence if it's a,
Yeah.
and so we don't require irrigation to be installed. There has to at least be a hose bib within 75 feet. So
Right.
if that's a concern, that hasn't been raised.
Right, okay.
And I believe the neighbor to the south has already put up a privacy fence on that whole strip.
Yeah, okay,
Mm-hmm.
okay.
And then, of course, I handed you an email presented that came in from Sean Malloy.
Correct.
Who is actually in favor, would like to formally express their support for the requested variance and for the property not being required to install a fence,
Okay.
just to add that to the record.
Does anybody else have questions of Beth before
When
I
does-
call the applicant up?
When does the temporary,
Sunset.
CO expire?
Honestly, I'm not sure on that. I think it's hinging on this,
Okay,
the outcome of this. As a rule, we don't typically, or the building department does not typically issue temporary COs, but they do under certain circumstances.
I don't know that when a temporary CO is issued, if it's not given a date, we're giving you 60 days or a year or whatever, I don't think they ever sunset.
It's been my experience, the ones that I've heard of that we've been involved with, which typically have been tied to a landscaping, that there's been a time period,
Yeah, I'm
a
saying
2 week or a month.
if
to
it's stated
get-
that, if an applicant wants a temporary CO, the building department needs to put an ending date on that, because if they don't,
what
temporary.
forces them to do anything?
Well, if the temporary CO, is granted for 30 days or 360 days or whatever, for the landscaping, and it's not done, the building department can go back and literally, red tag and, shut down that building.
Doing that with a church should not be good news.
It's not, I know, that's what I'm saying, it's not, you can have, water meter removed or whatever, I mean, but it's probably not gonna happen on a church, but.
Yeah.
And that's what we'll discuss with, the applicant as to why do you not wanna put that in right now, and, that's the reason I was thinking about the trees being planted and irrigation system being put in. I would typically put the fence in and then the trees and the irrigation so that I don't worry about killing the trees and the irrigation when I'm putting in the
I think
fence.
I've read in this thing that the church, or church people were they going to do the fence, not the contractor, I guess was the idea. And
Okay.
that, we'll do that with our staff and our money, but then you gotta get them out there to do it.
Right, so, okay. Any more questions, Beth, and I'll get the applicant for. Okay, sir, if you will come forward, and I need you to state your name and address for the record.
Okay, my name is John Williams. My address is 2770 Rose Bay Drive, and I pastor Grace Missionary Baptist Church.
Okay, do you swear that everything you're about to state is the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good.
So here's some pictures of the natural barrier that currently exists, if you'd like to see them. These are current, up-to-date pictures
Okay.
taken a couple weeks ago. And just a few, I wrote down a few things on the reason we don't want the fence at the church. Number one is we're past time, yet we're in a temporary CO, thankful for that, but a temporary CO feels like we got somebody looking over our shoulder, and we just want to be in, have our CO, and have, the county's approval. It's a beautiful building, it's upgraded the area, and we just want to get this CO and be done with this. We are over budget, the fence price, is somewhere around $7,500. We went extremely over budget, and it's just not something we're looking to spend money on at this time. And so that would be another reason. Aesthetically, it wouldn't be pleasing. I wouldn't want a fence, whether if I had the option and endless money and endless time and endless approvals, I wouldn't want the fence there. It looks better without the fence. And so aesthetically, I wouldn't want the fence on the north side of the property. There's natural buffer. There's a fence, an older fence that don't quite sit on the property line of our neighbor that's north of us. So I just prefer a church without fences, to be honest with you. And so that was one of the other reasons. And then my final reason, the letter from the neighbor, the email from the neighbor, I've talked to him a couple times. There's a half-acre lot that splits the church's property where it sits now and his property. It sits vacant, and that's where you see a lot of those trees. If you look at those pictures, that is a half-acre lot that has been missurveyed for years. This old country boy is convinced that the survey line that was stuck in, it was for a cell phone tower that they were trying to put up in this exact area. It ended up going across the street. However, during the process of our building going up, we had the land all resurveyed, spent some extra money, and had the lines redrawn to where now his survey, you got to understand, this dude's lived in this house for like 20 years. Well, now all of a sudden, he's always thought his property line is where the church parking lot is, and really, the actual line where we would have to put the fence is a whole lot closer to his house than he realizes. And so another reason I wouldn't want to put a fence up is because I don't want to have an angry or disgruntled neighbor. It was one of the last things I would want. And so that would be one of the last reasons I would not want to put the fence in.
Is that Mr. Malloy? that sent us the
I'm
letter?
assuming, sir. I've talked to him a couple times. He's the neighbor that's vocalized the most.
Okay.
Came over, had discussions with us. He is the neighbor to the north where there currently is no fence.
Okay. Are you, even if you don't put the fence in, are you still putting in the trees and the irrigation system and all that?
I basically have been told the church's responsibility from the contractor is the fence. There are trees that are already planted, there are hedge trees planted, there's irrigation up, but it sits right on the parking lot. If we was to put a fence up, it would go, like I said, closer to the property line.
Right.
So I'm assuming he has met all his obligations, and that was not one of the areas that were flagged by the county.
Because one of the conditions of you getting your CO is gonna be that a member of best staff goes out with his landscape plan and say,
Sure.
yep, that was put in, so.
Well, there was about 8 items on that landscaping plan,
Mhm.
that we were responsible for, and my contractor came to me, and he's worked with the county a bunch. He said 7 of these are mine, and 1 of these is yours. And the one that was mine was the fence. So I'm assuming he's handled all his responsibilities.
Okay.
Could we pull the aerial back up? Cause you, I mean, I guess, and this is a question to anybody, I guess those areas, north, south, and east are residential, but other than I see something there in the south, I don't see any houses close by. Is it,
The border at the top is the north, that's the north border, and that's that empty half-acre vacant lot that sits between me and his proper, or the church and his property. And so he's just above that blank space. And then, like I said, the neighbor where our church actually sits, it's a whole lot closer to his property, is on the south side, and he put up a privacy fence.
so he has that like half a lot or a lot on half your property against half your property, and there's another lot to the side.
That's correct, sir.
Is there a house there now?
No, sir.
I guess we're open to ask questions now, correct?
Yes.
That's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I guess my concern is what you've asked for, it says to not put it up right now. But what I'm hearing is, I don't wanna put it up.
Yeah, I didn't fill it out.
Okay, well, that's the difference. So what you're really asking for is to not put it up at all.
Well, I mean, not right now. Maybe in 20 years now, I'll change my mind. You know, I don't know. I don't want to put the fence up.
You can always put one up later, whether it's a requirement or not, but it is a requirement now. So you're asking to delete the requirement, really.
Yeah, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It's a little different,
Yeah.
although it does, the not put it up now, if that was the real ask, is a tough one because when do you
Right.
put it up?
Yeah.
Tomorrow?
All right.
Next week? 2 years?
I've got a question too. If you don't do the fence, the landscaping, will that meet the requirements
Yeah.
at some point, or you,
It will, obviously, as the immature trees grow.
but it's the right width and everything to meet the requirements?
Yes, sir. He's got, so new commercial property, they plant them hedge trees. They're about that big. So eventually, you know, in time, they'll be this, you know, this tall and maintained, and I mean, they would meet the county requirements.
Okay.
That's my understanding. So on the south side, there's a fence, and
Mhm.
then, sorry, on the south side, there's a fence, and then on the right side, that's a huge buffer with trees already there, well developed, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And then the neighbor to the north is the one that wrote this letter that does not have any issues.
That's correct.
Okay.
So yeah.
So it's really just the north side.
Yeah, kind of.
I've got another question too, this may be for the attorney. Since the application is to delay it, but that's not what they're asking for, can we even change that, or does the application need to be rewritten or redone or resubmitted? Because now, like the property owners, if they saw the application, decide if they want to come here, protest it or not, can we do something different than what's on the application?
It is a different ask. It's deferring implies it's going to be put in someday versus not wanting to put it in at all. There are other options if the fence were not chosen, but it may be more expensive than the fence, so.
Or deferred until the trees grow and meet the requirements.
Well, the trees are only part of it, so the shrubs would have to be 6 foot at planting to replace the fence. So even if there's shrubs put in now, they wouldn't meet the requirement for years, so.
Right, so we, it could be deferred for whatever estimated time it takes for the shrubs to grow.
But technically not compliant now, so, yes.
And
It's a tough one.
I mean, just look at the landscape plan. I don't think the trees that are being planted, are gonna fill into the level of opacity the county would like to see for probably 5 or 10 years. I mean, it's just, they're slow, they're small, they're slow growing. If that's what the county wants is that, your neighbor can't see you.
But the neighbor don't want it and we don't want it.
I understand that.
I guess we're not talking
Right,
about
no, I
what we
understand
want
that,
now.
and a lot of times, we're not protecting the neighbor that's there now, we're protecting who might live in that property in 10 years. But I understand the neighbors right now don't have a problem with it. The fence is on the south side, is it 5 feet, 4 feet, 6 feet, have you any idea?
I think it's 6 foot.
Okay,
It's either 5 or 6.
It's 6 feet.
okay.
Could you, put that picture up here? It's not showing up.
Yeah, it's not showing there. Here,
All right, well, I
I got it.
you got one. So, and, I don't know, this is a tough one because of that. On the east side, the right-hand side, there's obviously a ton of trees, and you're going to keep all your trees that are there on your property?
Yes, sir.
Because your ponds there, you really have nothing that you can develop right there now anyhow.
Well, the only thing he's asking for variance on is the fence.
I know, but I'm just trying to, if people were to develop here, there's still a ton of trees here to block that. This guy's put up a fence, the one, on the south side, there's no house there, could there be a house there in the future? What's that property? It just beats vacant land?
So on the south,
South side, you have the one along the road, I guess, he's put up a privacy fence. To the right of him.
no, he's got a garage. He owns that whole piece of property. So he's got a big workshop behind that. I don't know how far his property goes back, but it's all woods back
I
there.
think all that's
It
one.
looked-
one
Okay,
lot.
it looked like a property line there is what I thought, so I didn't know if,
And it could have been an old lot, but he may own both of them, but yeah, you're.
but I guess this is kind of, we have these trees here to kind of protect that. It's really just the north side. And the north side has no objection, but does he know if he's waiting?
And it looks like there's a huge tree line, more than half of that too. So it's a small section.
That little small section right there is currently where there's a jut in the parking lot, and that's where the hedges are more than gonna cover, that little break. You see the break on the north side of the property. There's a tree that sits on the road, and then there's a little gap, and then the rest is just trees. The hedges all sit in there, they even fill even past that. And the parking lot don't go as close to that as close to the property line either.
I got another question too. You said it would cost about $7,000 for the fence. Is that for a fence to go all the way around? Because to me, it looks like only maybe the north side looks like the east side may already meet the requirements. So is that just for that one piece or the whole way around?
It was a quote from the contractor's fence guy. We hadn't shopped it. We hadn't did anything. But it was a quote from the contractor's fence guy on what it would cost to just do the fence on the north side.
Okay. Seems like very expensive of course, I know fencing has gotten expensive these days.
I don't know.
What type of material?
So, I mean, obviously at this point, if the county, holds us to it, we'll match the wood fence panel that the neighbor to the south has done, just to be aesthetically pleasing.
I know I put up about that same length of chain link fence for my dog. It was $4,000, something, and that's just chain link. I do see that the gentleman on the north side in his letter, in support, he's not talking about delaying, he says support of not installing the fence.
Oh, I've talked to the man. He does not want the fence, and I don't want to have the conversation about the property line. I don't know if y'all have ever had a disgruntled neighbor. I don't know if you ever had a disgruntled neighbor with your local church, but I promise you, I do not want to have a disgruntled neighbor in that church right there and have to deal with the phone calls that would come from that.
I see you've got your parking lot is gravel.
Yes, sir.
Your handicap spaces are paved.
Yes, sir.
I mean, I know you got Sunday morning services and probably Wednesday night services, or maybe Sunday evening as well. Do you think there's gonna be a gravel dust issue with your neighbor that's disgruntled?
Oh, no, sir. He's not disgruntled as of right now, but he would be. No, sir. There's there's the half acre lot that separates us. There's a large buffer there already. There really is. And there's a ton of trees. And the parking lot don't even start anywhere near the actual where the property line is. It's this way. If we could overlap the two pictures, you would be able to see. But there's a pretty good natural barrier there, and I don't know the rock difference, but it's pretty compact and compressed. It's white, and it does well. I'm very pleased with the way it turned out.
Okay. Anybody else have questions of the applicant? Okay. I'm gonna close that portion. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Bring it back to us so we can discuss amongst ourselves or discuss with staff or whatever you wanna do.
No, sit.
No, you sit down. No, sir, no.
We're gonna discuss and then we're gonna vote or whatever we're gonna do.
No. Ideas?
Well, do we need to know for sure whether we are allowed to change it from a postponement to or can we just do something and then smack us if we're wrong?
Does the application state we want just an extension of the CO or? I'm sitting here looking at it and I don't.
Jamie, do you have the ad? I think it was a request to defer.
Or postpone it for a year and at that time see if anybody cares anymore.
It just says we're delayed to outstanding landscape requirements.
This particular neighborhood, it seems like a more natural vegetative barrier would have been kind of the first design rather than a fence.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, it's more in character with the adjacent properties. Plant shrubs now in 10 years.
The application states in relevant part, due to project overruns in both time and budget, we are respectfully requesting consideration of a variance in section 12-9 that would allow us to defer installation of the privacy fence to a later date. The ad that was run for the purpose of hearing objections, if any, to issuing a variance to the Clay County Land Development Code, Article 6, Section 6-85B, to allow for installation of the perimeter buffer fence at a date following certificate of occupancy. So based on that, I'm not sure that it would be a proper action to defer or to eliminate altogether the buffer fence requirement
Forever.
forever.
We could grant him a 1 year extent, or 1 year, you're saying, or 5 years, or as long as it has a sunset date to it.
I think that's appropriate.
Or could we, see, and if, or are we allowed to let him, re-advertise and changing the wording to eliminate? I don't know what he would rather have, but we could do that as well.
We could allow it to be re-advertised and come back at another hearing to y'all.
Sir,
Could
would
we
you come
waive,
back up?
could we waive the reapplication fee? There's also advertising fee, I know that.
Right, yeah, we wouldn't waive the advertising fee. We could,
I mean,
we could amend this application, just continue with it, but it has to be re-advertised properly. And I would ask that they reapply, you know, with this.
I think if, Jamie, if we wanted to stay with a certain date, 6 months, 1 year, 5 years, whatever, I just have a feeling that once Mr. Williams walks out this door, we're never gonna see him again.
That's correct.
I mean, code enforcement's not gonna go by and say, gee, the temporary CO has run out and they're having church, because I don't see any of the county commissioners wanting to go in there and padlock a church. I mean, I just, let's face it, it's not like it's a,
But if we were to approve the deferring, basically it would just be open until, somebody were to come and complain at that point? Is that correct?
Well, let's
But
ask,
they would
is-
have the CO?
if he's allowed to defer it till after the CO, that's what he asked. So then he has his CO. Then the building department's gonna go, hey, he's had a CO, I'm done, I'm not starting anything. Would anybody else start anything? And I mean, that's an option. We could give him time to defer it till after after so many months or years after the CO. That's an option we could do. And then if somebody comes back to him, he's gotta maybe come and apply to a variance to eliminate it. At that point, that's an option,
If somebody were to complain about it,
if somebody were,
and then the neighbor already
yeah.
doesn't
that's-
have an
that's-
issue,
yeah.
so.
Or another way that gets it, so you don't have a worry down the road, is if you wanted to reapply to eliminate it, not to defer the installation.
If you're asking me which one I'd prefer, I would prefer option A. I don't think anybody out there is ever gonna complain about a privacy fence.
Just
not
wanted
being
to
up.
ask. Wanted to ask.
I appreciate the opportunity to speak.
With, anybody I'm gonna make a motion.
I would-
Or you want to?
I'll make a motion. to
Make a
approve.
motion.
Yes.
Go ahead, you make,
Motion to approve. Do I have to say the
Well,
whole
we-
number?
as,
And
per the poorly
ahead, I'll
worded
let you do the whole
application. We're not sure what he's asking for. What were you gonna say?
Something along that line, yeah, I
Were you
mean,
gonna give a certain date after the CO?
I was, but maybe I don't want to.
I was thinking, can we defer for 5 years, and then by that time,
See what kind of hedges are growing.
it's probably grown up, so that, if 5 years, if somebody wants to complain about it and it doesn't meet the code, then they have every right to
So
do that.
Are you modifying her motion?
Yes,
Is that a friendly, do you accept this? I don't know how you do this stuff.
Are you okay with that modification? To give them a 5-year extension on
I think that's
complying
fine
with the
if
fence?
somebody were to complain at that point.
I will second your
Modification.
modification to that.
So we have a motion and a second by whoever you write down to approve the application for this variance for up to 5 years. Ms. Beth, are you okay with that? That makes sense?
I understand your motion.
You understand? I know. Okay, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay, it passes 5-0. Thank you. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Okay, the next one is 26-004.
Nobody here for that?
There's, can we hear something if there's, I know Kelly's son was gonna be here.
They think it's 6 o'clock?
They did last week. Okay, perfect timing, okay. Okay, staff, go right ahead. You're not on the air. Okay.
The applicant is Dr. Eugene Harold McCoskey II and his wife Sabrina McCoskey. The agent is Kelly Hartwig, and representing him today is his son. The location of the property is 4231 Magnolia Road, Orange Park, 32065. And the request is to exceed the 30% maximum lot coverage by 987 square feet. This is an aerial image of the property. It's on Doctor's Lake on Magnolia Road. Some background, the parcel is located on the east side of Magnolia Road, part of the Doctor's Lake Estate subdivision. The square footage for the current screen enclosure over the pool is less than the 30%, the square footage with the current screen enclosure over the pool is less than the 30% maximum coverage requirement. However, the applicant would like to replace the screen coverage with a solid roof over the pool area. Screen enclosures are not calculated into the maximum lot coverage, whereas a solid roof would be. According to the site plan, the 29,924.99 square foot parcel would be permitted to have a maximum lot coverage of 8,977 square feet. The request is to exceed this 30% maximum by 987 square feet to install the roof over the pool area. This is a site plan, and for this request, I was relying exclusively really on their total lot number areas that are right there in the middle. To the very bottom is the variance requested for 987 square feet. Actually, I don't know if you need explanation of this. The green area is where the proposed new roof will be. And it actually, my comment later is that it's kind of sandwiched between some existing structures that are already there. So it's not really extending into the backyard any further than, the existing.
They got an existing bird cage, so they just want to put a solid roof on it, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so conditions for variance, that special conditions and circumstances exist which are peculiar to the land structure or building. There are no unique conditions of the land, structure, or building. That the special conditions and circumstances do not result from the actions of the applicant. The property owner is choosing to replace the current screen enclosure over the pool with a solid roof to increase shade from the sun and for health reasons. That granting the variance requested will not confer on the applicant any special privileges denied by this ordinance to other lands, buildings, or structures in the same zoning district. The granting of the variance would confer on the applicant a privilege denied to other properties who would be limited to a maximum lot coverage of 30%. That literal interpretation of the provisions of the ordinance would deprive the applicant of rights commonly enjoyed by the other properties in the same zoning district. The literal interpretation of the ordinance would not deprive the applicant of rights commonly enjoyed by other property owners. That the variance granted is the minimum variance that will make possible the beneficial use of the land, building, or structure. The requested variance would allow for the installation of roof over the pool area, which is primarily surrounded by the existing house, covered outdoor area, and storage building. There is minimal expansion into the rear yard beyond the existing structures and would not impact neighboring property view sheds. And that the granting of the variance will be in harmony with the general intent and purposes of these ordinances, and that such variance will not be injurious to the area involved or otherwise detrimental to the public welfare. The request states that the need for the solid roof is to shade from the sun for health reasons. Public welfare should not be impacted provided runoff from the additional roof is directed away from neighboring properties. The conditions for the variance, staff finds that the proposed additional roof would be located within an area surrounded by the existing house, covered outdoor area, and storage building with minimal expansion into the rear yard. The additional roof will provide health benefits to the property owner without impacting neighboring property view sheds. Staff recommends approval of the request for an additional 987 square feet of lot coverage to allow for the construction of the roof over the pool area.
Thank you. Any members of the board have questions of Beth before I bring the applicant up? Kelly's son, would you state your name and address for the record, please?
My name is Clayton Hartwig, and I live at 3406 Brown Road.
Okay. Do you swear that everything you're about to state is the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I assume this is an all bird cage structure
sir.
right now,
Yes, sir.
and they're leaving the sides.
The other sides will stay the same.
Okay, you're just putting on a new roof.
They're putting on a roof to help with their health.
Yeah.
Pretty simple.
I know.
I've never seen so many homeowners saying, yeah, sorry with us, sorry with us. All the letters. They
Yeah,
did a good job of that.
There was a bunch of them. Y'all got any questions of Mr. Hartwick?
No.
Thank you very much, sir. Have a seat. I'll bring it back to the board to, there's nobody here in the audience to ask questions of this, so, y'all have questions of Mr. Hartwig or questions of staff? Anybody got a motion they want to throw out there?
I just have a comment,
Yeah.
I did the math and it raises it 30% to 33.3.
Yeah.
In case anybody wanted to know.
Yeah.
And the way
The
it's,
987 sounded like a lot, so.
the way it's located between other structures and that I don't think, neighbors wouldn't even notice it looking the way. it
Yeah,
does.
probably not, and you can only see it from the water.
Yeah.
Yeah, so,
And or from the air, you just see it from the roof because
Yeah, that's true.
the screen is still in
on the
front.
sides, yeah.
So, I would, move approval. Make a motion to move approval.
Okay, do I have a second?
A second.
You a second? Okay, thank you, George. We have a motion and a second for approval of BOA 26-0004. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Passes 5-0. Thank you, Mr. Hartwick. Figured to add hay for us. Now I'm going to open it up for the second public hearing. Seeing no public, I will close the public hearing and bring it back to us. Ms. Staff, do we have a meeting next month, or do we know yet? You gave us 4 months off, so now you're gonna start hitting us.
Well, we're full house now. We gotta put George to work here, so.
Gotta earn his money that they're paying him.
Yeah, exactly, so. Okay,
We'll give you a raise, okay? If we make you come,
Great,
yeah,
great.
we'll double your salary.
well, I get paid the same thing I did 25 years ago.
Been doing it that long?
I think I've been chair 25 years. I swear, I think I was chairman for 25 years. I've been on this thing for like 30 years. Several times I've threatened to quit, but staff, no.
Early turn it off.
Okay, with that, I will close the meeting. No, everyone said, you're not getting more plans approved if you're not on the board. No, staff wouldn't do that. We got a great staff.